Hi, hello everyone. My name is Ojas Sarup. I'm going to present on a proposal actually for my third chapter in which I'm going to talk about the ecohydrological response of forests to climate change under differing management regimes in India. So in India, we have a lot of rural communities who live in forests or near forests, and they depend on ecosystem services from forests for their livelihoods and for their general socioeconomic well-being. So there is an interest to enhance these ecosystem services, but there are a lot of sources of uncertainty. I'm going to talk about three of those. First, well, everyone's favorite, climate, right? So we don't know what emissions pathways the world is going to take because there are human decisions involved. So there are a wide range of outcomes. Add to that, for each outcome, we do not know how the Earth system is going to respond. Part of the Earth system is the biosphere, and almost all ecosystems will be impacted by climate change, including forests. But the direction and the magnitude of this response is uncertain, and there are complex feedbacks. But we know there will probably be changes to vegetation structure, probably species composition, biomass, etc. In the meanwhile, people are still going to use these forests, so management is still important. But communities and governments may think about management differently, right? They might have different priorities, and the response of the forest, of the ecosystem to these management actions is also can be uncertain because you might have unintended consequences. But for me, the important thing is that a lot of these restoration plans, management plans, they do not account for future climate change. So that leads me to my questions. So I am thinking about community scale small watersheds, and I am interested in these watersheds in the Himalayas. How do forests respond? And how do management regimes impact this response to forests? So I'm going to do this for a number of sites across different elevations. And the idea is for each watershed, I go out and collect a bunch of data, like soil and vegetation data, climate data, to figure out how are people actually managing their forests in these areas. And I'm going to plug it into this spatially explicit process-based ecohydrology model that our lab uses called RESIS. And I'm going to use this to perform virtual experiments in which I'll have multiple scenarios. What these scenarios look like are basically, well, I have these ranges of soil and vegetation parameters, which basically represent the wide range of soil properties and vegetation traits that we see in the environment. I'm going to use those to grow this virtual forest, right? And management actions by communities and state agencies will modify how that forest develops and behaves. And then I'm going to subject this whole system to future climate scenarios, like low, medium, high warming, right? And I hope that with all of this, I'm going to be able to compare key forest health variables like biomass, NPP, productivity, LAI, etc., and try and figure out how these management methods impact the forest over time. That's it. Thank you. Questions? So, questions? Yeah, great.
Your favorite hypothesis about actions might affect forest outcomes.
I guess my favorite hypothesis is that I suspect that community management might be more in tune with how forests change like year to year. And I suspect they might be a bit more resilient. But that's my as opposed to like state managed.